Hi, thanks for coming. We're going to start in a couple of minutes. We're just waiting for a few more people to we see are signing in. So we're going to start in 2 minutes. Hi, thanks for coming for today's webinar about how to monitor cloud application using the ELK Stack. So we're going to start now, and I'm going to go through a few slides, and then we're going to show you a quick demo of how we do our analysis for our environment. So my name is Asaf, and I am one of the co-founders and the VP of product for Logz.io. You can see my email, my contact information, but basically my job is to work with the customers, work with the product and the engineering team, and make sure that all the requirements are being properly communicated to everyone, and that we're developing the product according to kind of like the things that our customers need and the things that we want to do. So I want to start by giving a quick introduction into ELK, which is the Elasticsearch, Logz.io, and Kibana. Talk a little bit about what is Logz.io, and then talk about the challenges of monitoring cloud application. Show you a demo of what we do, and then a quick Q&A. Feel free at any point of time if you have any questions to write it on the question screen, and I will summarize all the questions and answer all of them at the end of the webinar. So what is ELK? So ELK stands for Elasticsearch, Logz.io, and Kibana. It's actually a combination of 3 different products. The first product is actually Logz.io. What Logz.io is a product that helps with streaming data and ingestion of the data. So Logz.io is a tool that gives you connectivity to a lot of other systems. It does some time normalization. It does field extraction. It does field enhancement like GeoIP, like user agent, like all the fields that can be added for it. Elasticsearch, which is the biggest part in the ELK stack, is a schemaless search database. This is a database that is it's highly scalable. You can run 2 nodes, 5 nodes, 500 nodes with Elasticsearch, and it's completely scalable. And Kibana is the visualization layer, meaning that all the data that exists in Elasticsearch, you can, using Kibana, visualize it. You can run graphs, you can run searches, you can build yourself dashboard, and you can do a lot of very cool stuff using Kibana as the front end for Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch and ELK a little bit in numbers. So Elasticsearch, the ELK stack is the #1 log analytic product out there that's currently being used. It has more companies using it than all the other proprietary tools combined. It's open source. You can download on the web and set it up yourself. It has about 500,000 monthly downloads and a very vibrant community that's running probably more now, more than 100 meetup groups all over the world, and hundreds of developers are contributing to the open source and the community. Companies like Netflix, like Bloomberg, GitHub, eBay, Salesforce, Microsoft, Cisco, all of them are running Elasticsearch internally in order to use to analyze and look at their data, and which makes it also like the most common and the most widely used product for log analytics. The biggest advantages of Elasticsearch is that it's very simple and it's pretty nice and beautiful. So if you look at the Kibana, it has some very nice visualization. It's very easy to set it up if you want just a small environment, and it's very easy to be able to run some visualizations and get a sense of your data. It is open source, which means that there is a large and vibrant community that supports the open source, supports the community, supports the development on it. It also means that you can look at what's coming down the pipeline. You can report issues if you want. If you want to go to their GitHub page, and you get all the benefits of using an open source. It's actually very, very fast. It's actually very fast. And it's very fast, and it's very easily scalable. So that's kind of like the advantages of Elasticsearch. The disadvantages of Elasticsearch is that it's not production ready. So this means, you've taken three different open source products, and put them together. This means there is no high availability and security and role-based access and all that stuff. It's not ready for production if you want to actually count on it to be a log analytic for your production environment. Second thing, it is very hard to scale. So as much as Elasticsearch is a very fast database and it is a scalable database, scaling it accordingly required some knowledge, like some deep knowledge in the actual inners of the database in order to be able to do it right, in order to be able to monitor it, in order to be able to make sure that you're allocating the right resources to it. The third thing is that it has poor security. So by default, the Elasticsearch and the ELK Stack, the open source versions, come with no security restrictions, meaning that any developer who has access to your environment, any developer that can access the Elasticsearch database can actually see all the data. Same thing goes for Kibana. So if you do want to deploy it in a production environment, that makes it very challenging if you want to do all of this. So what we at Logz.io do, we've taken Elasticsearch and the ELK Stack, and we run an enterprise-grade cloud service for ELK. That means that you sign up on the website, and I'll show it to you in a minute, and you set up the environment in minutes. It's infinitely scalable, which means that today you can send 1 gig and tomorrow you can send 1 terabyte. For us, it doesn't matter. We scale all the infrastructure and environment accordingly. It is production ready, so we have different dashboards that are defined. We have high availability, we have security, we have backups, we have reporting, we have all that stuff that makes it production ready. We also enhance the Elasticsearch and the ELK Stack by adding alerts. We realize it's one of the most common things that people ask, and we've added alerts on top of Elasticsearch and on top of the ELK. This is not part of the open source package, obviously. We've added a complete advanced security with multiple layers of authentication and security to do this, and we've obviously added high availability, backups, and archiving that is also part of what we do, which takes the ELK stacks and gets it to be kind of like a high-performing, production-ready cloud service. So I want to talk a little bit for a couple of minutes about the challenges of cloud applications. So if you're developing a traditional application, it's usually built out of business logics which run on top of an operating system. Sometimes it acts as a database or a data store or a file system that's there, and it's usually protected by a front end and firewalls, and sometimes there's like load balancers and CDNs on front. But this is kind of like the generic architecture of a traditional system. The advantage of it is that it's very static. So you always know where your servers are, you always know where your database is, you always know where your load balancers and the firewall and the front ends are, and you can always log into each and every one of them. And if you want to obtain data and you want to obtain information, it's always there for you. When you transition to a cloud architecture like we have, for example, in our environment, the business logic now starts to be distributed. So instead of running it in a centralized location on top of an operating system, we run it, for example, on Docker. You can use other containers, and you basically run microservices, you run containers. We use, in our environment, for example, auto-scaling groups. We use scalable infrastructure for our data store. So we run our environment 100% on Amazon Web Services. So we use RDS for scalable access to the database. We use the scalable cloud infrastructure of the ELB in order to, as a load balancer. We use CloudFront as our CDN, and we rely on a lot of infrastructure level capabilities that are provided by the cloud provider. So this environment, the biggest challenge of it is that it's very, very dynamic and flexible. So as opposed of using a traditional system where you have your kind of like static servers, now everything is always moving. Servers, Dockers go up and down. The auto-scaling group is controlling based on the load. RDS is scaling up and down. Same thing goes for ELB, and basically this is requiring you to be able to collect and centralize all the log data in close to real time. Because I can tell you that, for example, in our environment, if some business logic or some Docker is misbehaving, the first thing we do is bring up another one that has the exact same functionality, make sure it behaves properly, and take out the old one. So especially if this is something that's happening at night, when our DevOps people wake up in the morning and go to check the system, these files, the files that were on that Docker, the file that was on the business logic, the file that was in the auto-scaling group, no longer exists. So unless we collected them and we got everything centralized in kind of like one location in real time, there's almost no way to be able to find out any problem that happened. And obviously, if something happened once, there is a very high likelihood that it's going to happen again. So we use the ELK stack to be able to collect the data and to be able to visualize the data. Another thing which we have and we employ in our environment, what we call the log-driven development. So for us, for every new feature that we develop in our system, we make sure that the developers knows all the errors and the warning and the exception, and he gets notified on them. We make sure that we know all the metrics that can be extracted from the logs. We make sure to set up alerts based on volume of errors or exception, or based on different metrics that are beyond normal. And we make sure that every feature being released is going to be accompanied by a dashboard. So the developer that actually developed it, he is responsible the end-to-end. He takes it from the source code to production, to monitor, and everything is being done at that level. So this is kind of like what I want to do, and I want to show you a quick demo now about this. First, I want to see if there are some questions. Okay, so let me kind of give you a demo of the product and what it does. So I'm going to jump to, so once you go into Logz.io, this is the sign up screen that you are going to encounter. So let me sign up just for email here. So this is going to take about a minute to set up the environment. What happens now is that we're kind of analyzing the environment and we're making sure to allocate all the relevant resources. So we're setting up an Elasticsearch cluster that for it. We're setting up all the paths that are needed in the environment, and this literally takes about a minute to do. So now that the environment is up and ready, what we do is we ask that you give a little bit of information about what you're trying to achieve through it. This is very important for us because we leverage this to be able to provide content and to be able to provide functionality in the product that is going to help it and make it a much smoother experience for you. So let me just, I'm using Apache, I'm using Angular, and I'm using the CloudTrail for this, and that's it. I'm done. Wasn't painful at all. So the next thing that I want to show you is the way to be able to ship logs to us. So once you sign up, you have several ways to be able to ship logs. So you can either send dedicated like Nginx or Apache logs. If you already have an ELK installed, it literally takes 2 minutes and 5 lines of code that you need to add into your Logstash configuration, and immediately you are using Logz.io. We have operating and infrastructure environments specific like Heroku, and we also have a specific cases for all the AWS components. So all the AWS components, or if you want to use CloudTrail or ELB, it's very simple. All you need to do is put it in a bucket and put in the bucket read-only credentials, and then you'll be able to what Logz.io does is goes and pulls away all the information from that bucket or from that infrastructure component. The benefit of it is that you don't need to go around and kind of collect the data from all of your environment. It's very simple to ship data to us, and there's plenty of ways to do this. So for this example, what I want to do is leverage the file upload capability. So you see it's a very simple curl command that I'm just going to copy to my terminal, and I'm using, this is Apache file, and I have a file ready, which is I called Apache Daily Access, which includes some log files from Apache. Apache Daily Access.log. So while this is running, I wanted to show you kind of like how the files looks like. So this is kind of like how the Apache log file looks like, and I'm sure if you've ever used Apache or Nginx or Tomcat, most of their file looks the same. This is a basic access format. I mean, you see the IP that something came from, and you see a lot of information that in a textual way, which is very difficult to kind of make sense into if you're trying to analyze kind of a large scale system. So once I get, I send the files and I uploaded the file into kind of using the file upload into it. You can see that I already have data in my environment, and you can see that Elasticsearch already analyzed the data and split it into fields. This is something that is done automatically in Logz.io. This is something that if you want to do it on the open source product, you would have to split it yourself. So the ability to enhance it to a Go IP, the ability to add user agent, the ability to split the fields out of the textual information, this is something which is done automatically in Logz.io. You can see the orange triangle here. This means that we need to update the mapping in Kibana. There is a button here that says click here to refresh the mapping. I'm going to click the button, and then all the orange triangles are going to go away, and you see that all the fields are going to be recognized. So I'm going to give you a few examples of things that we can do here. So one of the things we can do is do a search. So this is Apache Access logs, and I want to know what are all the logs that came from a Windows system. I can type Windows, and within half a second or so, or even faster than that, I can get all the number of events that have Windows in them. This is the power of Elasticsearch and the quick search that it does. It doesn't matter if you're searching on Logz.io for a small file or a small collection of logs to tens or hundreds of gigabytes. This all is highly scalable and very responsive. So this is one way of doing the search. Another way of doing the searches is if I can open up a log file and I want to know all the events that happen from a specific location. Like for example, I want to be able to get all the events from Indonesia. I can click on the plus here. What happens now is that Kibana adds a filter, and now I can see there's actually only one event in the past 15 minutes that came from Indonesia. So I can scroll it, I can change it, I can say, you know what, I want it 24 hours, and now I see a little bit more events that came from Indonesia. Another way of doing it is using a range. So one of the key things that's important, especially when we're analyzing Apache logs, is the response time. So obviously response equal 200 means that everything is okay. So you see most of the logs are response equal 200, but I want to see what's not 200. So I can say anything which is 201 to star, and that's the format of Lucene, and immediately I can see that there are some events that indicate that I have some errors in my environment, and these are the responses, and I can look into them and I can dig in and say, yeah, this is response 404, as you can see, and this is something that is very helpful for us when we do log analysis, when we do troubleshooting in our environment. So what I want to show you now is how do we create a visualization, and I'll give you an example of two visualizations that I'm creating, and then I'll show you some more capabilities of Logz.io. So first visualization I want to make is a response time visualization. So I want to make a line chart of all the information that is split by response time. So I click on the line chart, I start from a new search, and the first thing I do is I select the x-axis, which I'm going to select here the time. So if I select the date histogram and I select the timestamp, then I can see, you see it immediately drew a graph of the number of events based on the time. Now, if I want to split it by response time, I can add a sub bucket, and I can select to split the lines, select the term, which means that I'm going to pick an Elasticsearch or Elasticsearch field to do this. I'm going to select response here, and I click play, and immediately you see the graph, and you see here this is the response 200, this is response 400, this is 500. You see from this graph it is very difficult to see the responses that are not 200, and this is expected because most of the time the response is okay, and 200 would definitely be the majority of the messages that you get. One way to deal with it is to change the graph from a linear graph to a logarithmic graph, and now you can see that the errors that I get here are much more prevalent, and I can actually see that there is an error even though I have plenty of response 200. I can also filter it, and I want to say that I don't want response 200, so I can say minus response column 200, and that only leaves the things that is not 200. So you can see it only left with the 400 and the 500. So this is a very simple visualization. There are a lot of things that you can do with it. So you can make the lines smoother, and you can make the graph looks very nice. And there's a lot of capabilities that exist in the Kibana visualization. So the next visualization I want to show you is the map visualization. So I want to create a map of all my visitors. This is being used mainly for BI, to be able to know where my visitors are coming from, since this is an Apache log file. So I click on the tile map, again from a new search, and I can select the geo-coordinate. It already pre-filled all the default geolocation. All I need to do is click play, and I immediately get a graph of a map of all my visitors, where they come from. And again, with this, you have a lot of options. So you can do the scale circle, you can do a heat map, and be able to control it and see where your visitors are coming from. Again, we use it internally to be able to map where we get a visitor from, and then we cross it with response time that they're getting and all sorts of things we learn from this experience. So this is kind of like what we do here. So a few things that I want to show you that exist in Logz.io and are not part of the ELK stack, the default open source ELK stack. First thing is the ability to define alerts. So let's say, for example, that I want to be alerted whenever we get a response 404. So I write a query, the search query saying this is response 404, and now I can click on create alert here. This create alert is taking the query that I had and creating an alert out of it. So I click on create alert, and you see it was copied here, and I can say too many 404, and I can set it to run every hour, and I want to be alerted in this case if this is greater than or equal to 50, and this is a high priority for me, and I want to give my email address. We are going to release Slack and PagerDuty integration, as well as generic webhooks. This is all coming up next week, and this is all I need to do in order to create an alert. Very simple to do, very simple to use. And if you go to the alert section, you would see here now that I have one alert defined. If that alert would trigger, this would come into the triggered alert here, and you'll be able to see the alerts, and you can go back from the alerts to the discovery view and be able to see all the alerts. Here, I can edit it, I can disable it if I want to, I can delete it, I can change anything in the alert, and it's very very useful to what we do. The other thing that can be done is in Logz.io is there is a user setting. This is again not part of the open source ELK. We provide user management. So, for example, you can add a user, and you can add as many users as you want. This is part of the capabilities that we have. We provide kind of like S3 archiving, which means that all your logs are going to be sent to S3 for safekeeping. So, if you want a retention of 2 to 3 weeks, but you do want to store your logs for 2 years for compliance purposes, then you can always archive it with S3, which is a much cheaper data store. One other thing is the theme. So we know that Kibana 4 comes with a light or a white theme, and Kibana 3 used to come with a dark theme. So we've added the capability to be able to do this. All I need to do is select the theme, click save, and refresh the screen. And now, if I go back to the Kibana and the visualization, I get everything in the dark theme. And again, this is part of what we do at Logz.io here. So this is kind of like the things that I wanted to cover. I want to show you one other thing which we're going to release next week as well, which is called the ELK Apps. In order to do that, I would have to log out and log into a different account that we're having. So this is going to take a minute. So I logged into a different app, into a different user that I have, and that's kind of like being used for testing this in our environment. And you saw that how I created the visualization. I created 2 of them, but creating a lot of them and defining the alerts and going through all of it can be a very tedious process. And frankly, there is no reason why every single person would have to go through the same process over and over again. So this is why we created the ELK apps, and we've built together. Right now, we have almost 100 different applications, and they can be from dashboards, like this is a dashboard for VPC flow of AWS, to S3 access, to different visualizations, to alerts, and to anything I want to do. So this is a case in my environment where if I want to search for, let's say, Apache, I can see that all of these visualizations are already existent for Apache, and I don't need to go and build them again. If I want to be able to add a visualization to my environment, I can click on the add, and I can click on the add and add it to the environment. And then if I want to open it, once the visualization is being added, I can click on the open, and it immediately opens the visualization for me. So this is the environment, and this is what was built. Let me change the time frame on this one for a minute for that. So if you look at the labs, and again, let's say I want an Apache dashboard, I can search for it, and there's already pre-made Apache dashboard. If I want to open it, I just click on the open and add it to my environment and open it. So instead of every single person be able to create this dashboard on his own, we've created a way for people to both contribute their dashboards and the visualization to the environment, but also consume and use some of the visualization. And this goes for alerts, this goes for dashboards, visualizations, and all sorts of objects like saved searches and so forth in the ELK stack. So this is something which is coming up next week, and we're releasing it next week. We work really hard on it, and we do think that this is a result of a lot of discussions with a lot of customers who ask for something that they could get started immediately, and instead of having them develop their own visualizations and their own dashboards on their own. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to take a few minutes and look at the questions. And if you do have any question, then I'd be happy to. Okay, so we have a few questions. So, first of all, I want to thank everybody who kind of came and joined, and we have a few questions that were asked here. So one question is, security-wise, can I give my customers access to a limited dashboard? This dashboard will be show events or a specific event source. So the answer for that is that yes, we are actually working on such capability with an environment where you would create a multiple. It's basically an API to create multiple accounts, and then you give your customers an automatic access to each one of your accounts. We have a few customers that are already in the beta program for this, and we'd be happy to work with you on this. So question is, you've shown the functionality of Logz.io with Apache Access Log. What about custom log format? Is that supported? So this is absolutely supported. We do provide, as part of our Pro package, customization and parsing of the logs. So this is something that we write for our customers, and this is part of our onboarding package. You sign up, you ship the logs to us. It usually takes us about a few hours to half a day, and we parse all the custom logs for you. We do know that using kind of Logstash and Grox can be tedious at sometimes, and this is why we have the expertise in-house to be able to do this. So another question is, you mentioned in the invitation for webinar that you talk comparing Logz.io to Amazon recently announced Elasticsearch service. Can you talk about that? Absolutely. So what Amazon announced is a hosted Elasticsearch. And what hosted Elasticsearch means that means that they take care of the Elasticsearch cluster for you. And there are other companies that do the same. So there is a company like Qbox, which are doing a hosted Elasticsearch. Elastic themselves are doing a hosted Elasticsearch, and there are several other companies. There is a big difference between building a log analytics service than just a hosted Elasticsearch. So just give you a few things, for example. The Logstash configuration, the Logstash parsing, which is we're doing automatically. We provide a burst protection, so it doesn't matter if you have an issue in your system and suddenly you have a plan of 10 gigabyte a day and suddenly you're sending 40, then our system is going to absorb it and be able to retain the log. We make sure that all the logs are being archived and protected throughout the way. We have several paths and several methods along the way that we store the logs. We provide countless of connectivity options. So if you use the hosted Elasticsearch, then it's on you to make sure that the S3 access logs are there and the RSys log files are there and the Java logs files are there and everything is properly parsed and understood. So we do this. So we do provide auto parsing for a lot of different utilities. We provide alerts, which is something which is not part of any package out there. So you do get built-in alerts using Kibana. So you can define the alerts in Kibana and you can get alerted about it. We provide S3 archiving for retention for that. And we provide additional security and additional connectivity for that. On top of that, we provide multi-access to Kibana, which is something that is also not part of any other hosted Elasticsearch. So if you do want to give access to your Kibana to people in the organization, then we provide kind of like different users, and each user has his own account, and he can do his own thing, and you can actually control the roles in the environment that we have. So we have a fairly complicated system to make sure that this actually works end-to-end as a log analytic platform. I got a question, which version of Elasticsearch are you using? So we try to keep always using the latest and greatest version of Elasticsearch. Right now, as far as I remember, I think it's 1.7.2 or 1.7.3. We're anxiously waiting for them to be able to release Elasticsearch 2.0, and we would migrate to that. Another question is like, do you offer API access? The answer for that is yes, we do offer API access. This is part of our enterprise version that we have. So we have a bunch of APIs, both for extracting the data and for account creation, and be able to do account management. Like I said before, we are working with a few partners on be able to offer this to their customers in a secure way. I got a question about the pricing, like how is it being priced? So we have a free version which is up to 1 gig a day. Beyond that, we're charging, the price starts with $89 a month for 1 gig of day of processing. This is actually cheaper than hosting one machine at Amazon for that month. And obviously the price goes down the more data you send. So a customer that sends 100, 200, or 400 gigs, then we work with them on a price that works for them. I got a question is how to treat email IMAP logs. So the way to treat email and IMAP logs is by sending them here, and you can send email and IMAP logs using HTTP or using plain TCP, and we would work with you on the parsing. So we would make sure to be able to parse it based on the timing in them and the information that exists in the IMAP and the email logs. Question is like, do you have a trial? So yes, so once you sign up, you get a 14 days trial, which is fully functional with all the capabilities in it, and you're more than welcome to be able to try it out and just give it a try and see how it works. Again, if you after the trial, all the systems are automatically being transitions to the free tier, which is, like I said, 1 gig. It has limited functionality, so it does not have multi-user, it does not have alerts, but you do get the ELK stack working. I have another question, is like, what types of logs do you support? So we support all the default types of like Apache and Nginx and all the open source common platforms. If there is a type that is an open source or is a common library that we do not support at the moment, we'd be happy to add it. And this is, again, this is something that a service that we do. And if this is a custom type, then again, we'd be happy to do it. This is part of our onboarding for our Pro package, but this is absolutely something that we do, and we do realize that people a little bit have some challenges of doing this. Another question, what about communication security between my server and Logz.io? So the communication security is we provide that you can either access it by HTTPS, you can provide SSL communication over TCP, and you can provide Logstash forwarder, which is both encrypted and compressed communication. So we have various ways of creating secure communication between the servers for that. I have one last question here, and then we'll wrap it up. And the question is like, what are the methods of sending logs, and what's kind of like the common ways of sending out? So let me kind of jump back to the device config. I think that the most common way of sending logs that we have is using our syslog. Most of servers are coming with the built-in rsyslog. So if you look at the operating system, for example, for Linux, we have a script that will generate all the rsyslog configuration for you. You basically give it a file and it ships it to us. We do find that the Docker containers are very popular. So we have a few containers that are doing performance metrics. We have a container. This Docker is actually running collect-L inside and shipping and parsing all the metrics like CPU, memory, load on the machine, network in the machine in and out. It's parsing it and sending it to Elasticsearch. We do have a Docker for Elasticsearch Health. This also comes with a dashboard. So if you are running Elasticsearch, this is a great Docker and a great way for you to ship data. Again, the Dockers are very, very simple. All you need to do is like Docker run, give it the token which is unique for each customer, and give it some parameters about where to find the files or where to find Elasticsearch to do this. We do also have quite a lot of customers who are using Heroku. And Heroku is very simple to add. Basically, you just add a drain to Heroku and give it the HTTP address. This sends a bulk HTTP with kind of like a JSON in the payload, and this is a very efficient and very good way to communicate. And again, even though the documentation here said HTTP, we also support the HTTPS for that type of communication. So we do have all of that. Okay, so I think this wraps it up, and I wanted to again thank everybody who joined the webinar. If you do have any more questions, we are always available. You can either send us an email to info@Logz.io, or you can once you sign up in the application, you can chat with us. There is an internal chat, and we'd be happy to assist in any other need. So I do hope this was valuable to you and that you learned a few things about Elasticsearch and the ELK stack. So thank you very much for coming.